absolutely. So tonight's seed, we're going to use the same settings as we did last week. They're gonna go for 7 characters, 10 espers. The bosses have been shuffled, and yeah, they're gonna have to figure their way around. Looks like we're starting out with Terra and Mog. That's an
Uh,
interesting start.
it's actually, you can already tell this isn't a seed that I rolled because it's a very kind start. Tara opens up 5 checks of her own, and Mog opens up the Lone Wolf check, which is a really nice treasure hunting spot, uh, right in Narsh, too.
Yeah, it absolutely makes going to Narsh first a good check. But Rumble is going straight for that Imperial camp for where all those boxes are. That's also a good strategy right there.
I like that. It's a pretty good density of treasure chests right at the start. You also get the sealed cave check right away. He has already found an ice rod that might be enough to kill any of these early bosses that he finds, depending on what boss it is and how kind they choose to be.
Now, Mr. Entity is, I don't know if he might have forgotten to take off a Moogle Charm, but or he's grinding right away. This is interesting play too.
Yeah. Entity, I believe, is a player who tends to prefer to play without the Moogle Charms until he gets up to a higher level. Um, Instead of trying to grind all at one spot, he tends to prefer to grind sort of as he goes.
And I've kind of seemed to be leaning towards that myself lately with some of the new changes. It's just, especially with the progression enemy scaling, you can definitely stay ahead if you kind of leave it off for a little bit.
True.
Oh,
And
Jack
not
has found a force shield.
Yeah, that is a very exciting piece of early defensive gear to get because it has damage from all of the elements in the game, plus giving you really good magic evade so that, it's not likely to hit you to begin with.
Now he's selling everything. He's going for uh, Revivifies to knock out those zombies.
Yeah,
That's pretty interesting.
maybe hoping for either an undead boss or or maybe find a spot where he can grind on some undead enemies.
Looks like we have Celis in the Umaro spot once Umaro is found.
That's often a spot that people aren't excited to get Umaro because he only has 1 check. It's behind 2 bosses because you have to go through Tritok as well, and then whatever's in Umaro's spot. But knowing it's Celis there, that's actually pretty good incentive to go do that.
And
And
I'm sorry. I was gonna say, yeah, Ultras just pointed out, and I just saw that myself. Behemoth suit and an Aegis shield in South Figaro. That combined with a force shield with 2 characters, you're pretty much guaranteed to knock off the first couple bosses.
yeah, those defensive options, it might take you a while, but you'll certainly be safe while you do it. Looks like the Lone Wolf check, the option is a Poison Claw. I'd be very surprised if any of our runners chose to grab that Poison Claw. And we'll see in a moment. It's the Magicite Phoenix. That is absolutely worthwhile. 10% of the way to those Esper needs. Although the spells on it were not exciting.
No, but Remedy could come in handy early on, especially dealing with some bosses that throw Delta hit at you.
Now, we've got Rumble, who has found Strago at the end of the sealed cave. That's important. But at the same time, Mr. Entity, he has found the cranes in the Whelk spot, and I understand why he fought that one battle now. He has Mog. He wanted that dance. He fought one battle, got the dance with Mog, and is now using, what is it, Wind Aria, I believe, in that Cranes fight, which is keeping his whole team up and healthy.
That is something I probably wouldn't have thought of. I do like to use Mog's dances for sure. However, I haven't really used that one very much. That is awesome.
And it looks like Jack has chosen to do the Kefka and Narsh battle. Probably going to use this opportunity to try to grind up on those troopers a little bit, although he might go down here. Now, going down in this battle is actually not. All it does is send you back to the last point you saved, although he chooses to take a reset instead. Mr. Entity makes it through that Crane's battle and gets Siren. Let's see if he's going to open up that menu and show us what it is. No, I want to see the spells.
Well, I can tell you, Rumble got the Esper in the town Sen from the guy in the bushes, and that Esper had at least Life 2 and I believe Rasp on it. I believe it was Rasp.
Yep, certainly take both of those spells. You know, if he finds a Magimaster, that is a way to get through it. Although
it is, but he did find wall rings at that relic shop as well. That's a free way to get through Magimaster.
Absolutely, it's free, but it takes a while.
It could take 10 minutes.
And you know, I don't know about you, but I'm not really excited about watching Magimaster reflect spells on himself until he runs out of MP.
Nope, I definitely am not. It will definitely bring up some memories. Some of the seeds I've played.
I will say that we are kind here at our race settings. We do turn off Magimaster's final counter of Ultima. So you won't have to get surprised by that or have a way to deal with it.
Yeah, they won't have to use Life 3 or Palador to jump over the Ultima to negate it, which will make it much easier.
Absolutely. So Flurry has now caught up and also grabbed his Strago as well. Strago is a character that I'm usually very happy to see with Clean Sweep and Stone. Those two lures are actually not terrible.
They're actually really good, you know, because Clean Sweep's just gonna hit everything on the screen regardless of what direction the enemy's in. Always a good spell to have.
And it's water element, if I remember correctly, which is
water.
Not a common element to actually have an attacking spell. I think you get Clean Sweep, Aqua Rake, and the Bismarck Esper, I think, are the main ways you get water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much most enemies will be able to be hit by the water spells because of that.
Right. So not only does Strago have a good set of lures to start out with, he also gets to start. Strago opens up a few checks. One of my favorites is the Burning House, where he opens up one of my favorite grind spots in the entire game, where you just go fight those balloons and just pack those levels on.
Right. And you also you can throw those water edges as shadow. That also does water damage. But Jacquemus, I don't know if you saw that. Jacquemus took the reset on the Cranes. He didn't die, but he's going to do some grinding here, probably to overpower the Cranes.
Interesting. I didn't actually realize that. But Mr. Entity is the first one to get to the boss at Kefket Narsh and showing us an Ultros. This appears to be Ultros 4? Ultros 3. Esper Mountain Ultros.
Right.
Which, if I remember correctly, that Ultros has quite a bit of health, but is normally defeated by Realm just sketching. But without Realm, you don't have that free win on that Ultros. So he might actually pose a bit of a challenge for our runners.
So he went down. He did use that dance again that was going to heal him, and use the wind spells. That is an option, but a reminder though that Ultros is weak to fire, and if he did any battles in the caves in Narsh, he would have had Dusk Requiem. That's a bit of a gamble because the Elfire probably, to me, is a really low chance of casting, but when it does, it blows up the enemy.
Right. It's a high risk, high reward. I feel like dances in general are like that. If they
Mhm.
do what you want them to do, they're going to be incredibly powerful, but sometimes you might just stand there and cast Sunbath 10 times in a row. So, so far, haven't really seen anyone check out anything in the World of Ruin yet, nor have we seen anyone check out either of Strago's checks or any of Strago's checks. Where do you think our runners are going to go next once they've exhausted these early easy checks?
Well, after they get a couple espers and after they get a couple characters, they're definitely going to want to get a few levels in. So Strago's Burning House is definitely the way to go. Um, you're gonna get some easy, quick levels in. You got Strago, you got Clean Sweep. It's, I mean, it's a done deal in that house. Um,
The only thing I'd be concerned with is Strago's MP pool. Is just making sure I have a way to, some ethers or tinctures or something to keep his MP up. Uh,
Absolutely.
I'm not sure Jackamus is actually very happy with the enemies he's finding here. It looks like he's trying to run away. He has not found kind enemies.
Definitely not kind enemies. I believe those enemies can turn you to stone.
Just to answer a question or a comment in chat, Worlds Collide does not punish leveling as much as it used to. It really depends on the setting that you choose. You can choose to scale by party highest level. What we have on here is we are scaling by progress. So for every character and Esper the runners get, the enemies gain 2 levels. So you are actually quite easily able to outlevel your enemy if you need to. And both Flurry and Rumble are now trying this Ultros. Let's see if they are going to be able to get through it. They are approaching it with 2 characters instead of with only 1, which is going to make it a lot safer. Although we do know that this will not give a character, it's going to give either a piece of equipment or an Esper. So where do you think the next piece of progression is going to be once everyone has their Strago?
Once everyone has a Strago, I hope it's not Fnatic's Tower because their magic pool is still pretty low. We also have a Funbaba location that we can go check to see if there's a quick character. But they need to be prepared for at least 2 different bosses because of the Funbaba exchange.
Right. Also, there is the World of Balance Zozo check, which is only behind 1 boss, which is normally Dodaluma, which is normally a complete pushover, but here it could be, I don't know, Goddess or Poltergeist or the Phantom Train. So who knows how easy that boss will be to get through.
So, funny thing to know about Zozo, I was playing it the other day, and watching everyone warp out of there, I would say probably like about my first 7 seeds, I was just running all the way up and running to the crane all the way down. Warp stones are so important in this game if you want to go fast. That easily saves, I would say, at least like 2 minutes to get out of Zozo.
Absolutely. Getting out of Zozo on just by walking is a super pain in the butt. I do want to point out Jackamus is checking the shop on the airship, and he has found Super Balls for 8,000 GP apiece. That is a steal for those items.
That is an absolute steal. He can drop bosses with them, especially early on. He also found the dried meat in there too, which is good for the Gao location if we do get Gao.
Right. And then Jack is going and doing the Zozo check, just like I wish. Aha. I will note that both Flurry and Rumble on their Ultros fight have attempted to end it by breaking a Pearl Rod that they had found somewhere. But that is not enough. Because this Ultros does have, I think in his vanilla spot is something like, 27,000 HP? Because you're supposed to end it early with Realm. So it looks like all of our runners have now tried Kefket Narsh, and all of our runners have bailed on it. It's not usually Ultros who's our gating boss.
Yes, I can confirm Ultros 3 does have 22,000 health in the vanilla location.
You know, I was not too far off going from
You're pretty spot on, man.
long ago memory. I'll take that. While we have our runners sort of doing a little bit of crisscrossing and checking over on everyone, I do want to give a shout out to the rest of our restream team. Vamp and I are joined by Rathalos, who is doing our restream, and Scott and Dark Falls are teaming up today to do tracking, because as we have learned, attempting to track 4 racers by yourself is an exercise in frustration. So shout outs to the rest of the team. Let's see. I think Jack is also doing the take random battles as he goes strategy here. He found veterans earlier, which veterans are an obnoxious enemy, which we can tell that they're obnoxious because Strago is still petrified.
Yeah, hopefully he'll be learning Remedy on Terra pretty soon.
I believe that was one of the spells. So the Esper in Zen was Fenrir, and not only did it have Rasp and Life 2, it also had Stop. Why is Stop important?
Stop's important because you can. It definitely works on some bosses for sure. But you don't always want to use Stop. In my case.
So Stop can be a double-edged sword. It does importantly work on the Fire Chicken Poltergeist. But if you are, say, fighting Esper Mountain Ultros and have a Realm and are trying to end the fight by using Sketch, if Ultros is stopped, Ultros won't die because the ending battle script is technically a counterattack. And if he's stopped, he won't counterattack.
Yes, we found that out when I decided to use a stunner on Shadow. So watch your weapons and your spells.
I believe the Moogle Charm in Vanilla is not technically perfect because something to do with hexadecimal and a 1 in 256 chance. I don't know the full details. Maybe someone else in chat is going to be able to explain that. But in Worlds Collide, the Moogle Charm is perfect. It does just turn off encounters. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, there's only I believe a few locations, where you see enemies on the map where you're running, or in the end of Floating Continent. You're still gonna run into some naughties as you're running.
Yeah, those are unable to be avoided. And Rumble is going to give us a peek at what's in the Dodaluma spot, and it is tentacles. Ooh. Will Clean Sweep hit all of them? I'm not actually sure.
I think it's going to hit all but one.
I know most elements will hit 3 out of the 4. Did that actually only hit one out of the four?
I thought it was at least two.
I think I just misread the colors at a glance there.
Huh.
It looks like Flurry is trying to take some battles in the World of Ruin Narsh right outside of the beginner's house, where he can use that healing bucket in between battles to do some very quick grinding. But it does look like those tentacles are actually going to cause a problem for our runners. Have any of them found running shoes or Marvel shoes yet, do you know?
I haven't seen any. No, I don't think so.
Rough. Yeah, and it looks like that clean sweep did only hit one of the tentacles. That is really rough.
So why are Marvel shoes so good again? Because it says it causes mysterious effects.
It gives you haste and several other things. I'm actually going to look it up because I don't remember everything off the top of my head. I just know that they're strictly better running shoes. Safe, shell, regen, and haste.
Now that's a good combo, especially with any other status ailment negating relic. You are set to take on the world.
Absolutely. And as Drew in chat is pointing out, they do sell for 20K a piece, which if you find breakable rods in a shop, you might, for, completely random example, you might be selling those Marvel shoes to buy yourself a couple of rods. And it looks like two of our three runners have dipped out of that tentacle spot as well. I wonder if they're wishing that I had rolled the seed instead. I'm not sure mine were quite as frustrating as this one.
So Jack's at the burning building. This is the check that I think that the progression is either going to be in, or how they are going to progress in this seed. You get so much experience.
Right. Bombs or balloons are one of the better XP per level that you can get repeatably. They are better than the commandos.
You're gonna get about 2.5 times more experience when you have 6 balloons.
Right. Technically, something I learned, the enemy with the best XP per level that you can encounter repeatedly. Do you know what that enemy is?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. No, I've been trying to search for the Holy Grail.
It's Zone Eater, which is not good to grind on for some obvious reasons.
That is interesting. Definitely not a good monster to grind, especially you're not guaranteed to get experience on some of your characters.
Exactly. Looks like one of the espers that Flurry got has Ice 2 on it, which is absolutely worthwhile learning. And so Rumble is working on the Funbaba check. He did actually go and speak to one of the little girls in the house, which that's the girl who usually says you're not going to take Terra away from us. But now it'll say you're not going to take, and then tell you what the reward is. The reward for this is an economizer, which is 100% worth investing the time into.
Absolutely. Being able to cast any spell for only 1 MP.
And importantly, it also works on Strago's lore, so a 1 mana clean sweep. Yes, please, I'll take that.
Now, have we figured out which Funbaba is at this Funbaba location?
Yeah, that appears to be Funbaba 2 because there wasn't a Baba Breath, although I'm not sure they had been in done enough damage to trigger the Baba Breath yet, so I think it was actually Funbaba 2.
Um, and you know what? They start out with Terra. I would say even before Strago, Elite River is also a really great spot to grind. You're gonna get the same mobs. They're easy to kill. They don't put up much of a fight, and all you really need to do is bring some tents with you, and you are good to go.
That's true. That is another place that we could very well have progression because you can get characters at the end of Elite River. So, looks like Mr. Entity is actually going to do that. We've got Entity there. We've got Jackamus doing the Burning House. I think Rumble is going to try grinding up a little bit and doing Mobiliz again. And Flurry is going to hit those tentacles really soon. Who's going to make our first breakthrough, do you think?
At this point, I think it's going to be Jackamus. He's pulling ahead in levels right now with the Burning Building, and the next few checks he's going to go check out. He's just going to stomp on those bosses.
He is, and that boss in the Burning House is the Phantom Train, which is a free boss. Has the undead flag, so a Revivify, Elixir, or Phoenix Down will kill it. So Jackamus is through the Burning House.
No wonder why the house is destroyed. I don't think these support trains.
Who let a train in the living room? Jack gets another Esper, gets a Seraphim. Maybe he'll open up the menu and give us a peek at what spells he's going to get there.
Oh, there was Shell, but there was also a stat boost. I didn't catch it.
I missed it entirely.
It was just Shell times 5, but I think he's going to be using it for the stat boost because he did equip it.
Certainly. Shell is a spell that is not technically useless, but I have yet to see it put to good use.
I mean, I would use some beneficial buffing spells if I had something like a gem box, but a lot of items just put that on your character for you.
Flurry looks like is going to break a couple of ice rods on these tentacles and hopefully be able to get through them. I am hopeful we don't have all of our racers getting stymied by tentacles and Ultros, which is another flavor of tentacles. I hope someone breaks through. Thank you, ETAP in chat. Seraphim gives MP plus 30%. That, because Jackamus has not found the economizer yet, that MP plus 30% is going to be worth it.
Absolutely. He's going to take huge advantage of it right now as he gains some levels on the Elite River.
Yeah. And the other thing to note is they did get the Esper Fenrir, which is one of the more important defensive Espers for dealing with Kefka's Tower. So not only did that have Life 2 and Stop, but it's also Fenrir, so useful in multiple ways. Let's see, Flurry is almost through as I say that, he gets through the tentacles. Awesome. So we're going to get a take a look at what is in Ramuh's chair, while also getting the wonderful poison animation. I'm betting an Esper. I am betting an Esper. Ooh, hey, I was right. We've got Odin.
Ooh, Odin is good.
Especially, let's see what spells it comes with. Warp is nice, slow, and fire 2.
Stamina plus 2.
Of all of the stat boosts, stamina is the one that I am least happy to see. I believe all it does is affect how much damage you take from poison and seizure effects and how much regen you get from regen.
Hmm.
Other than that, I don't think it does anything, but I'm not
So
100% sure.
so Jackimus just got to the second save point right before the boss at Lee River. But this is a good thing to know if you're ever playing and you want to get some extra levels. When it says and your only two options are up and left, you can go up as many times as you want to get in as many battles as you need.
Yeah.
But back to the Odin thing. I know for a fact that Raiden kills Rexol instantly at the start of a fight if you use Raiden, and I'm pretty sure Odin would do the same thing to that boss, but I can't confirm it because I haven't done it yet, or I haven't done it in a while.
Very nice. Mr. Entity has found that the boss at the end of the Leet River is in fact a Sasquatch Umaro. You would think all of that fur would weigh him down in the river, but what do I know?
I mean, he's definitely powered up with that green cherry. Don't forget that.
100 times power up. That can be a little scary. One mechanic to note here is that a lot of enemies and bosses in this game have scripts that they follow, and those scripts are based on absolute HP, not on the percentage HP. So, normally if you're fighting Umaro in vanilla, you have to do some damage to him, and once he gets below a certain HP threshold, he'll use the green cherry and power up. However, based on the progression multiplier we have, he spawned at an HP that automatically triggered that script to happen.
Right, so he's already below the threshold of where the item was needed to be used.
Exactly. Now, for something like Umaro, the green cherry, that's not a huge deal, but that can be a big deal for some of the final bosses, particularly Phase 3 can just start casting Meteo on you immediately, which is terrifying.
Ooh, looks like we're getting Edgar from the Leet River. Great finds. That gives you the Figaro Castle. You have the Tentacle location inside the castle in the World of Ruin, and you have the Ancient Castle that will yield you at least a check and a dragon.
Very nice. You get two free checks, and then, one of them sort of half free. It's free once you get through the through the tentacle spot.
Now, I don't think we've seen any monsters in boxes yet. And if you're starting to find some items where you don't really think you need to grab them, that's fine if you skip them. But if you can kill a Katana Soul, definitely good to try to find it so you can pick up an offering.
Absolutely, definitely a worthwhile treasure to get. Jack was just heading into Figaro Castle and using the fact that Edgar is the king to try to get some discounts on some good items in the shops. Unfortunately, none of those items he was particularly interested in, although he did find a go-go in the Figaro Castle throne room, which this early in the seed, I'm pretty okay with getting a go-go. Particularly...
Go is okay. He just the traps really get me in the Zone Eater location.
Oh, sure. His check is certainly obnoxious. But if you can get some good tools and, get a flash or a drill and have two characters using some pretty powerful attacks, yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm into
it. Using drills to ignore the target's defense definitely comes in handy when you go up against some high defense bosses like I believe number 24 and Magimaster all both have high defense. But number 24 is pretty trivial compared to Magimaster.
Right. That is actually pretty funny that Magimaster would have a high defense because he's in a spot in vanilla where you can only cast magic. So why would they bother giving him high defense? But hey, it certainly makes it more interesting for the randomizer.
I mean, he does use the Stairmaster. Those calves are not a mistake.
All right. Looks like Jack is with his more powered up party to try the tentacles fight again. And I think Rumble is headed back up, I think, to do Kefka at Narsh. So it looks like we've got a little bit of backtracking going on here to cover spots we couldn't do before. Actually, I was incorrect. Rumble is in the World of Ruin. He is going
for the Tritalk.
Tritalk is a guaranteed Esper. It's one of the few checks in the game where you are guaranteed a particular type of reward, and it's also a free fight.
Yep, Hedon is you can use a life or a revivify and just instantly kill him.
And that is certainly something we will take, because otherwise this fight is pretty challenging, actually.
Lots of poison damage.
So, to answer a chat question, Myria-chan, dragons in Worlds Collide, so you can turn them on, and what that would do is it would mean that you would have to fight all 8 dragons before you could go into the final Kefka battle. It actually won't let you get through the door that leads to Guardian. Other than that, they are a really good source of lots of magic points. This is a non-dragon seed, so they are a source of lots of magic points.
Absolutely, you can definitely learn almost every spell from an Esper in just by killing one dragon. However, even though the bosses are shuffled, the dragons are only shuffled amongst each other. So you don't know which dragon you're going to get still, but they're still in the same locations as they normally are, and you still are going to get a reward as soon as you break the seal on the dragons when you kill all 8 of them.
That is true. When you kill all 8 of them, you will get, I believe it's a guaranteed Esper as well.
As far as I've killed dragons in the randomizer, it's been an Esper every time.
But once again, thank you, chat, for helping us keep up with that. The Esper from Tritalk gives Bolt 3 and Haste 2. Bolt 3 is one of the more powerful spells in the game and can serve as one of your main forms of offense.
Ooh, Jackamus with that close call.
How close was close?
Strago had 66 health and he was the only one alive.
Hey, you know what they say, the only HP that matters is the last one.
That's right.
It looks like so far, Bolt 3 might be the most powerful offensive tool we've gotten. I do think that one of our runners at least found some ice rods for sale somewhere, but that's about it in terms of offensive options. Unless there's something I've missed.
Nope, I believe Bolt 3 is the top spell right now. Looks like Flurry is about to find their Go-Go.
Be interested to see if Flurry chooses to use Go-Go or not. It's a choice. Again, I think if we had found Drill yet, or or if Strago had learned Grand Train, then having a second user of lore could be very useful. But I can see
So
not being excited by Gogo.
so Jackamus, the way he just exited Zozo is the way I usually do it. But that warp would have been real handy. He would have saved himself a few, at least a minute or so.
And apparently, we do have a drill. It was found in the returner's base. I did miss that. I just haven't seen any of our folks with Edgar actually use the drill yet.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Entity's been using it. Ooh, and Blowfish. So when you're fighting any enemy in this randomizer, and regardless of what level they are, when they cast Blowfish, it's going to do 1,000 damage. So it's definitely not a spell you want to run into early on.
But if you have Gao with one of the rages that uses Blowfish, that can be used to blow through a lot of content really quickly. But if they make it through this fight, Strago will have Blowfish.
That's right. Then Strago will definitely have a nice, cheaper spell that's just going to do 1,000 damage to a single target at a time.
Who cares about cheaper? If Rumble gets through this, he's going to have an economizer. MP cost is no issue anymore.
That is true.
All right, and it looks like Flurry is going to give us a look at the Figaro World of Ruin checks, going through the Tentacle spot and then the Ancient Castle. Most of our runners have found 5 characters. Rumble is a little bit behind in terms of character acquisition. But something I've noticed, these seeds either tend to be incredibly generous with characters or espers, but never both.
Right. And once you get kind of over the first tier of checks, usually if you haven't found any characters in the beginning, you're going to find like 3 to 4 back to back. So even if you think that your seed is going a little slow, there definitely will be some pickup. And I just saw a fixed dice on Flurry's inventory. Let's see if they're going to put that on someone.
Fixed dice on its own without an offering is okay. It's not bad. It's just not as good as it could be.
It's not as good. It's not as good as it could be, but it definitely could do some damage, especially with the newer character that doesn't have any spells or anything at this point.
Yeah. And Rumble did make it through Funbaba 2 in the Funbaba 1 spot and found a Dadaluma who is far easier than Funbaba. So he should be able to get through that Dadaluma and pick up his economizer pretty quick.
Absolutely. Dad is definitely a free fight here. He just wants to use potions on himself. He just wants to look good for the fight.
Right. Let's see. Dadaluma, Tunnel Armor, Hydon, and Phantom Train, I think, are probably the easiest bosses. Would you agree with that assessment?
Oh, absolutely.
Anyone else to add to that list of bosses you are happy to see every single time?
I'm definitely a glutton for punishment, and my friends would attest to that. I like seeing a fire chicken in 5 minutes. Give me the challenge. I'm always pretty happy if I can find a seed that, even though I'm doing pretty good, I still get stomped a little bit, because it kind of makes me think, what should I have done the last time, or am I dying to RNG, or did I just do something wrong? That's always something to think about.
Very true. Leader is also another one that is quite easy to take care of. And looks like 3 of our runners are all converging on Figaro and World of Ruin. So we're going to see, looks like Sir Behemoth on 3 screens pretty soon.
And to answer a chat question, the Worlds Collide rando typically takes as long as it depends on the settings that you choose, but if you're going for like trying the race settings, they should be about like an hour to an hour and a half, or 2 hours at the very latest, unless you're going for more checks than necessary. Uh, Keep in mind, if you aren't reaching those times at this point right now, there's always ways to improve and try to figure out what your routing could be.
And I would say that from my experience, Worlds Collide tends to have a little bit of a wider variance than something like, say, Free Enterprise, because there tends to be, or there can be, a lot more decision points that can lead you down different rabbit holes that, instead of just ending in a dead end, can still get you the number of characters and espers you need to enter Skefka's Tower, but might just take you longer. I believe it was last week we had one of our runners had like 10 or no, they had 12 characters before they got their 10th Esper, whereas other people had done different checks and had gotten 10 Espers and 7 characters. So there tends to be a little bit more variation, I think, in Worlds Collide seeds than in something like a Free Enterprise seed.
And Jackamus with the Marvel shoes after the tentacle location fight.
Which, would be great if they hadn't already beaten Tentacles.
Sir Behemoth is not a bad fight. Typically, you just want to get through the first phase and then use a life on the second one, and then it's a done deal.
Absolutely, and I do expect all 3 of our runners to do the Ancient Castle check as well, because it's just efficient to do it while you're already in Figaro Castle.
Right, they just got to watch out for that dragon, because that thing could still run into you.
I mean, unless they have some spells that they particularly want to learn. Yes, Joyzel, I am sure I have butchered your name, and I apologize. The gold numbers are the goals, so we're looking for 10 espers and 7 characters in this seed. And the white numbers above are the numbers that each particular runner has found thus far. So one could make an argument that Flurry is in the lead right now, but that is certainly not set in stone, and anything could happen.
Absolutely, anything could happen. They haven't really found any nasty rabbit holes just yet, and we're talking like Magitech Factory, Floating Continent, anything with like multiple bosses could prove to be quite challenging, especially since we're knocking out all the easy bosses right now.
And the Magitech Factory has a bit of a reputation for either the boss in number 128 spot or the boss in Crane spot. Tends to be rough. Now, Jackamus just got a gem box in the cave towards the ancient castle. Jackamus got it. It was the second treasure chest in that room. Flurry did not check that treasure chest, and he might be really sad if he does not check that on the way out.
Absolutely, because Jackamus just needs to just check the Funbaba location and grab an economizer to pair it up with. Minerva's not bad to find. It is a bit of a walk for some good armor, though.
It's a bit of a walk, but again, I will take a Minerva every day of the week, and oh my god, Jack almost just got hit by that dragon. Got me a little worried there. And he got hit by the dragon.
Well, that Minerva is definitely going to prove beneficial for this fight.
Incredibly useful.
Oh, man.
You can already see he only took 50 damage because of that Minerva. So
this dragon to me is the hardest dragon. I don't know about you. This is how I feel about the blue dragon.
The only times I've ever fought him have been times where I was seeking him out intentionally, and I was way over prepared for it, so he never struck me as very challenging. So equipment in these particular flags are,
I think they're original plus random, aren't they?
yes, they are. So everyone can equip everything they can normally in the vanilla game, along with a random selection of other gear. Another thing to note is that both our shops and our chests are in what we call shuffle plus random mode. They are shuffled, but then 20% of their inventory is also randomized. So that allows a little bit of reward for doing some extra shopping and some extra chest hunting, because you might get something that you normally can't find. So it looks like Entity is headed towards doing the Zone Eater check. Let's find out where Flurry and the others are headed. Looks like Rumble is actually headed to do Ebot's Rock. Fascinating.
I've been doing Ebot's Rock the last few seeds I've played. It is definitely not a good check in a race setting, in my opinion. This is an RNG cave to its finest. You don't know where those warps are going to send you, and you need to grab quite a bit of coral before that chest is satisfied with its feast.
Yep, 22 pieces of coral, and then sometimes you just can't get back to him to save your life.
Although he's doing pretty good on the coral count already.
Yep. Entity just found Setzer at the end of Zone Eater's cave. Setzer's going to open up a free check at Colligan Inn and Daryl's Tomb. Both of those checks are pretty good return on investment in terms of time.
Yep, and he's going to go ahead and use the warp stone right out of here.
So it looks like Flurry has gone to Mobliz and is doing the Funbaba fight. Rumble is going to give us a peek of what is behind that treasure chest in Hide on Spot. And let's see where Jack and Entity choose to head to next.
Ooh, Dullahan at the Hedon location. So it's a good thing to know. I've been looking at the actual character loot tables lately, and Dullahan, it's not possible in this seed right now, but if you steal from Dullahan, you can get a Genji glove.
Really?
Mm-hmm. There's only about like 5 or 6 bosses that you actually want to steal from, but some of them are definitely worth noting. Like if you find Ultros with Chupan, you can steal from that Ultros and get a dried meat. So if you're on the search still, and you have Locke in your party, good way to pick it up.
Jack is actually making the Fanatics Tower check. I did not see who was at the bottom of Fanatics Tower.
It is good to note, though, that the Fanatics Tower is... chat is saying it is Cyan at the bottom of Fanatics Tower. If they decide to fight the dragon or the boss at the end of this, they can only use magic. So hopefully Jack has got a good plan for what he's about to encounter.
Yep. And seeing Cyan, he's actually sort of slowly creeping up my tier listing. Cyan gives you access to, what is it, 4 checks? You get his dream, 5 checks. His dreams, Mount Zozo, and Doma World of Balance, absolutely worthwhile going for. Just opens up so much for you to be able to do if you can just get through this boss here.
Mm-hmm.
Rumble
So
is. Oop, go ahead.
I was gonna say the cultists are reaching the top of the tower. They just want to see you kick their boss's butt. Go ahead.
Yeah, and Ebot's Rock gave us Umaro, which, if I remember correctly, tells us that we can get Celis, which opens up another 5 checks, including my favorite, the Magitech Factory.
I would probably beeline it with Rumble's Esper and character count to the Celis location. Some of those checks are so quick and easy, and you can grab everything pretty quickly. Opera's not too bad to do to gain some levels too. Those
Right.
rat fights.
And Jack finds another easy boss, finds tunnel armor at the top of Fanatic's Tower. Ooh, that is lucky.
That is extremely lucky. I believe I don't think we've seen any statues yet, have we?
No, we have not. Where could they be hiding?
Well, at this rate, they're going to be a little powered up from all the collection rates.
That's true. The longer we don't see them, the more powerful they become. Maybe Goddess will actually be a little scary. So let's see. Entity is going through Burning House, which Burning House, I believe, is going to get him another Esper. Let me check back. Yep. That'll get him another Esper, but also I wouldn't be surprised if Entity did or tried to do a majority of his grinding here and now.
Oh, I absolutely would do a majority of my grinding, especially since he's at the 6 character count. He already knows, so he's probably only going to pick up 1 more for use, maybe. I mean, he can get by with the 6 for Kefka's Tower. But he still needs the 7th for entry.
Absolutely. And Rumble's giving us a view of what is going to be in that Sasquatch spot. What is between him and Celis? Maybe this is where we'll see our first statue. Nope, just a Chartanook. If I remember correctly, his Terra has fire too, and he can morph Terra. And that should do quite a bit of damage to that demon side. Look, when the other options are statues, yeah, I'm going to go with just a Chartanook. And I can tell you, I am amazed. Flurry is going for the Fanatic's Tower check too. I guess our runners just really think very highly of Cyan.
I mean, I do definitely. I tend to favor the physical attack characters and maybe leaving like 1 to 2 spellcasters. Because the shuffling of the Espers, I mean, if you're trying to really go fast, can kind of be daunting a little bit. But if I get like a plus strength Esper, I'm getting 1 physical attack character for sure, and I'm going to leave the Esper on them like the whole time.
Okay, fair enough. I also noticed that at the top of Fanatic's Tower was a cat hood, which is arguably one of the best helmets in the game, if not the best helmet in the game.
Absolutely.
Has a bunch of elemental resistance, doubles your gold, and gives you bonus stats and some magic power and a few others. Yes, please, give me that.
So Jackamus is fighting Rexel. Like I said, it is good to really try utilizing your Espers on certain boss fights if you can. I don't know if he has Odin equipped, but it's definitely a good strat, or using something like X-Zone to knock out some of those Soul Sabers so you don't have to deal with them hitting your party.
Yeah, I would just be worried about hitting the Soul Sabers because if you kill both of them, they're going to come back.
Right.
So, but I think he's slowly working his way through. I think he's pretty safe on this Rexol fight. I say as he kills Rexol. So just call me Rav, Master of Timing.
Absolutely. And if anyone was wondering, why they're still getting hit by spells, even though I believe he has some wall rings equipped, if you reflect a spell off of an enemy to someone who has reflect, they're going to take that damage no matter what.
Absolutely. Rumble is making his way through Chardonnay. There we go. I do it again. It's like the opposite of Commentator's Curse. Just like I just have to notice that you're doing a boss, say that you're making your way through it, and you kill it. Not guaranteed to work on Kefka, by the way. I make no promises there. Rumble's going to grab Celis. Do you think he's going to head straight to the Magitech factory or possibly do South Figaro first?
I probably would either. It depends on if I've already gutted South Figaro for the chest. I might do Tunnel Armor and then beeline it for the cell.
Tunnel Armor you need Lock for.
Oh, that's right. I'm thinking of the wrong character. Yeah, definitely Celis's cell. Then the Magitech factory or Opera if you need some levels. And that's kind of what I think about before Magitech Factory. If I need a few levels and there's a event that will grant me those, I'm going to do that first.
Mm-hmm. So Jack went straight into Cyan's dreams, but Flurry is giving us a look into Doma Castle. Looks like Doma Castle's either going to be an Esper or an item. It's not a character.
Definitely not a character.
And it's another Ultros. More squid. More squid.
Seafood soup. Yeah, you can tell it's not a character in the randomizer if you retain the same party when you start the fight. If it is a character, you're going to get that solo fight. Just make sure you equip that character.
I'm not sure if that's... I think that's on the list to be changed, if it hasn't been changed already, where you just get the opportunity to add that character to your party.
Okay. I haven't encountered very many characters at this location, so that could have been changed already.
Yes. So now we are. Thank you, Atmatech. That has been changed.
That has been changed. Thank you, Atma.
But speaking of which, we're an hour into the seed. I do want to once again shout out the rest of the Restream team. We have Raphalos on our Restream, and we have both Scott and Dark Falls doing tracking, because as I have learned, trying to track 4 racers at once in this is an exercise in driving yourself mad. And it's also should be said that we should really shout out Atmatech. Atmatech is the main and so far only developer, as far as I know, on this. Atma has been pushing out updates on this incredibly rapidly and is incredibly open to community feedback and ideas, and has just been generally really receptive. So shout outs to the Restream team and to Atma.
Yep, everyone's doing a great thing, and really shout out to Atma. Super active and super receptive to any kind of feedback. If you wanna just give it a little shout out. So it's just a great thing that he's brought to us.
So Rumble is giving us that peek into Celis's cell at some point. I guess Rumble hadn't gone to South Figaro yet. I guess he had saved it up for hoping to get Celis. He also got an Illumina. Don't know where he got that Illumina from. That Illumina is going to do a lot of work for him.
Absolutely.
let's see. I guess Flurry's going to do a little bit of grinding here on commandos in the Imperial base. And Jacquemus has found Goddess. We have found our first statue.
And Goddess is pretty fitting to be at the end of your nightmare.
Yep. Yep. Calling that a nightmare is quite fitting, actually. Let's see, Rumble, give us a peek at what's in Celis's cell here. It's Realm.
Ooh,
Awesome.
that is a good one. Realm's a good caster to have. You can train her to really drop bombs.
She does have the highest starting magic in the game, and does not need much training. If you have a magic plus Esper, putting that on her for 3 or 4 levels, she will just rocket up there. All right, Jacquemus is currently in that DPS fight with Goddess, and there we go. He just won the fight. I'm telling you, I'm not planning on doing this. But realistically, Goddess, even in vanilla, is a DPS fight. You just need to kill her before she casts Quasar, which is a rather powerful multi-target spell that ignores defense and can really ruin your day.
Absolutely, and it is kind of nice to find her super early too, because she always drops that Excalibur. You know,
That's true. Excalibur is certainly no Illumina or Ragnarok, but it is nothing to be sneezed at. Like, we will certainly take it. It's certainly better than most of the other weapons in the game at this point, except for those 2 swords.
it's also good to know if you do have Locke in your party, if you steal from the Goddess, you get a Minerva.
Yeah. Ooh, that's useful. Flurry, I just noticed, went into the Esper shop. Yes, we're selling Espers in shops now. Relic shop in Narsh, and there were gem boxes. So he now has his Terra with an economizer and a gem box. So Flurry's Terra is going to start pumping out damage real fast.
Mm.
And Jack is going to give us that Mount Zozo check now that he has Cyan. I hope he has a Warp Stone or the Warp Spell at this point. Otherwise, he's going to have a long walk out. Let's see. Mr. Entity is just finishing up Funbaba and is going to hit the Dodaluma fight soon and get his own economizer from the Mobliz check. Where is Rumble headed? Hard to tell. He's headed into the airship. And I guess Flurry is going to go do Cyan's Dream now, which is actually going to bring Flurry quite close to his go mode, because that is at least 2 Espers, if not 3.
I'm a little concerned with Flurry's level going into this, finding the Goddess at the end.
Oh, what level is he at?
Around 20, I believe 21 to 22. Ooh, a ribbon in Jacquemus's game in Mount Zozo.
Certainly take that ribbon. Well, I think Flurry might be okay. He's going to be right around the level of the enemies. His enemies should be level 22 to 25-ish, because of the distortion that Atma has put in. So even with progression-based scaling, so every time they get a character in Esper, the enemies gain 2 levels. But that's a little too easy to cheese with things like, level 5 Death or level 4 Flare. So Atma has added in I think it's plus or minus 0, 1, or 2 levels to every enemy when you encounter them, just so that you can't quite you can't cheese it too easily.
Hmm.
So hopefully that goddess shouldn't be
You know,
too high
it
of a
shouldn't be
level.
too bad because Jackamus is around the same level. I thought he was much higher than that though.
But I would certainly much rather be at a far higher level than goddess than roughly equal to her.
Absolutely.
Rumble is going through the opera now. Any predictions on who is going to kidnap Maria at the end of the opera?
You know what? I haven't had very much luck with characters lately. I'm gonna say it's an item.
You know, if it's something like an Illumina, I would be okay with that. Could certainly be an Esper kidnapper. I'm going to say it's a character. Who haven't we seen yet? You know what? Let's make it a French vanilla scene here and say that I think it's going to be Locke is going to do the kidnapping.
Lock would be a definite good find.
Locke would get you World of Ruin. Weapon Shop would get you Tunnel Armor, would get you Phoenix Cave, and a guaranteed Cursed Shield, which, if our runners find Locke, depending on how early they find him, trying to uncurse that shield might be a worthwhile investment.
So we found a Tritok. Even though Tritok, you get all elemental spells from the vanilla Esper, the only one that's actually going to do damage to him is fire. He will be healed by ice, and I believe he just nullifies lightning.
Yes, I believe you are correct there. The other thing you can do is if you have spells or attacks that ignore defense, that will get you through Tritok. But, melt the ice that the Esper is encased in, and you'll get yourself through that fight pretty easily.
Yeah, physical attacks will do literally nothing to the boss. Unless they ignore defense.
Technically, Umaro cannot be hurt by Tritok if he has his snow muffler on, so you could just set the Sasquatch on, put your controller down, walk away, cook your dinner, and then come back, and you might be through the Tritok spot then.
Absolutely. Umaro has a nice set of skills that makes him pretty good, especially when you have the settings where you can equip him. But, all of his attacks, I believe, are physical. However, he does have that tackle that can't ignore defense, which is really nice.
Right. So Rumble is now at his full complement of 7 characters and only needs 5 more Espers. I would be jumping into that Magitech factory if I were Rumble. But Mr. Entity has found Atma Weapon. I believe that is in
It looks like Daryl's tomb.
So certainly not an exciting boss to find, although I'd much rather find Atma Weapon than Atma himself.
And Atma Weapon, I know I've been mentioning it quite a bit, but if you steal from Atma Weapon, you can get a ribbon. That's a good one to snag.
I think it would just be appropriate for Atma Weapon to be carrying an Atma Weapon.
It would.
But he doesn't.
He doesn't, it would be cool to find like an NPC that was a blacksmith and you just take, one of his horns over to him.
Yeah, that would be alright. So Entity has made it through the Atma Weapon fight. Flurry is now tackling Goddess. And Rumble is about to show us the first of this sort of mini boss gauntlet that he has set himself upon. And where Where's Jack headed? Jack is headed to the Welk spot. I didn't realize he hadn't done that yet. He'll be pretty happy to see some cranes that should go down fairly easily at this point.
Let's see where Mr. Entities is going.
Is he trying to do some shopping? Oh. Or no, he gets the Marvel shoes. All right. We'll take the Marvel shoes. I guess I just didn't expect that check to be open right now. He's found Shadow. Where did he find Shadow? I missed that. Shadow's in Daryl's tomb. Now, if you're at this point, if you're in Mr. Entity's shoes, are you going to try to level Shadow up? Do you think it's worth the investment?
At this point, with only having 6 characters, absolutely, I would put him in my party and do one of the events that he's got, you know, for some quick, easy levels. He's got Floating Continent. He only needs 6 espers. Floating Continent would probably be a good way to break in those espers real quick.
And as if he's listening to us, changes his party up there to grab his Shadow. Rumble's first boss in the Magitech factory was number 24, which is, you know, sort of a French vanilla spot. But that is another easy boss out of the pool before we get up into Kefka's Tower. So I don't know. I'd be a little concerned. You know, I'd expect to start seeing some more.
We're about to see some more harder bosses coming up.
Yeah. And we are also seeing how we were mentioning earlier that there tends to be a lot more variance in this because of the different routing you can take. You know, Entity and Rumble are now on completely different tracks just because of the checks that they've chosen to do. And Rumble is getting punished for going to the
Magitech
factory, finding that Atma. Although he did man first Quake, so it might not be all bad.
But take note of his party's health. I do believe that they're still pretty low with all that collected.
Yeah, I mean, he's still alive. He's at some point just going to have to start dealing out the damage and, you know, figure out how he's going to keep his party alive without Terra. But with Terra dishing out 8,000 damage bolt 3s, that might be enough.
Might get through this.
Ooh. This is certainly a clench moment. He is getting by the seat of his pants.
I think he's got one more shot and he's got it. Ooh. Yep. Gotta hit it while he's morphed.
And he makes it through. There we go.
Very nice, Rumble.
Whew. That is a clench moment.
So Mr. Entity did take Shadow into his party, and he is going to Floating Continent right now. He's going to get some easy, quick levels for Shadow through this. Hopefully he finds some good stuff to throw with Shadow.
Yeah, I think he found some Shuriken, which will certainly carry you through quite a while. Shuriken on their own are not quite powerful enough to do great things in the final battle, but they're not nothing. Let's say.
They scale with your strength, don't they?
Yes, but I think they more strongly scale with your level.
Okay.
Jack has gone back and is finishing up that the squid fight up at Kefket Narsh, getting a little revenge for earlier. This time, that that squid didn't stand a chance. He became sushi real fast. Flurry finds another ribbon and an Esper on top of Mount Zozo. Let's see what Esper he finds and what magic that's going to give him. And Rumble is now headed down the minecart. We are seeing four runners at 4 different spots.
Number 128 at the Ultra Chupon location. This is a quick, easy fight. Mr. Andy will make quick work of him.
Absolutely. And Ramu, the Esper that Flurry just got, does give magic power +1, which isn't great, but it is additional magic power and certainly worthwhile if you're going to be gaining any levels. And if you put it on Terra and you use Morph, she's going to take double advantage of that.
And in the Air Force location, we got a leader.
Again, we are finding all of these easy bosses. I am real concerned about where all the tough ones are going to be. I am also getting concerned about where Funbaba 1 is going to be located.
Ooh, that is an awesome Esper. Cure 1, Cure 2, Haste, X-Zone, and Magic Power +2.
Woo. Woo-hoo. That's an Esper you write home about. Let's see, Rumble's going to give us a view, either this battle or the next one, of what his next boss is going to be. This is often the boss that tends to give people the most trouble just based on where it's located.
Oh, this is not bad.
But Flame Eater is fine.
Especially, he's got Clean Sweep, he's got Ice too. This will go quick.
Absolutely. So for those who are unaware, if you hit Funbaba 1 in Kefka's Tower, when Funbaba 1 uses Baba Breath, he will kick two people out of your party. They head back to the airship. They are gone from Kefka's Tower. They are gone from your party. The way that you can mitigate this is if you have any members in your party who are dead, Baba Breath will target those members first. So if you know this is happening and realize that you're hitting Funbaba, kill off your unnecessary party members so you don't have to restart your Kefka's Tower run. Warp out and jump back in.
Absolutely. You won't have to redo any boss fight you've completed in Kefka's Tower if you've beaten them, but you will have to redo every puzzle location to progress in Kefka's Tower again. So you have to hit every switch, and you have to drop the 4-ton weights again if you warp out.
Correct. But if you only have one member in the party, I believe it's just a free boss location at that point. Because he'll Baba Breath you, but you can't get knocked out if you're the only one.
Right, you'll retain that character.
Rumble is giving us the final check here, getting another Magicite. I believe that puts Rumble only one away from Go Mode if he finds one more character. While Jackimus is doing my least favorite check in the game, he is attempting to buy some Espers from the auction house.
Yeah. Sometimes you get really lucky. I only spend, maybe 3 to 4 tries at max. If I don't get anything, I'm going to move on to the next spot. However, Atma was super nice to add the feature where if there's an Esper still there, it will say glowing stones still available that everyone just saw right there. Um, and the auction house doesn't always have 2 Espers. There could only be 1.
Yep,
So if you have that hint turned on, take note of that.
that is certainly possible. And I understand why Jack is doing it. He only needs 1 Esper, and then he's in go mode and gonna, jump straight into Kefka's Tower. Although I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up doing a little bit of grinding before he jumped into the final dungeon.
Absolutely. While he can get a lot more experience going straight to Kefka's Tower, some of those fights might not be very nice for the lower characters.
Right. I do believe it is technically quicker to just reset and run back in if the auction does not give you what you want.
Really?
Rather than mashing through. I believe so. So Mr. Entity is through the second fight on the floating continent. There was Funbaba 1, so guess we don't have to worry about that in Kefka's Tower. So that is one less thing that our runners have to worry about, although currently only Mr. Entity knows that he doesn't have to worry about it.
That Alexander Esper was also pretty awesome. I believe Cure 3, Life 3. There was at least 6 spells plus Strength plus 2.
Yeah, we will absolutely take that
one. Will this be our first time into the Esper Mountain?
As far as I know, yes. And Rumble needs 1 of anything, so...
That was Locke.
So, and then Locke will open up a couple of very quick checks. So, depending on how kind the auction house is to Jack, Rumble might catch up here.
Absolutely. He just needs to pick up this lock and go to the Narsh weapon shop.
If he can get through the Magus brothers, or the Three Stooges. That's the word. To answer another chat question, all of the RNG in Worlds Collide is randomized, so you cannot manipulate slots, and you cannot manipulate the auction house in the same way. That's not entirely true. You can do it, but you would have to figure it out for each seed individually.
Ultros, the Alexander was the last Esper gotten in Magitech Factory. It was the last reward right before the last fight.
And Mr. Entity found another one of our statues. He found Doom up on the floating continent. Interestingly, this one's on a timer, although I don't think it will come into play here at all. But I believe that even if you run out of time here, it doesn't actually game over you.
Mm-hmm. And that Illumina is making quick work of Doom.
Absolutely. Jack did finally find his Esper and has now bought it, and that makes Jack our first runner officially in go mode. And it looks like Rumble will not be far behind.
Nope. When you fight the Three Stooges, you always want to take out the one on top first, because that's the one that's going to revive the other 2.
Yep. Let's see, and thank you to the Greenleaf Effect, who has fixed the bot so that you can actually go ahead and give our runners a follow. That is a very nice way to thank them for giving you some entertainment tonight. And Jack is headed straight into Kefka's Tower. Let's see. Where is Mr. Entity going to head next as Flurry finishes up Daryl's tomb? and Rumble is trying to finish up this this Stooges fight.
So here's a question: with their current loadout, and I know they might have probably about 2 to 3 characters that are solid, solidly geared. At least Jackham is, he probably doesn't have, 4 or 5, really good, gear sets. Um, would you be skipping these chests on the way through Kefka's Tower at this time?
Every time I think about it, I'm like, you know what? I'm geared. I'm ready. I'm going to skip all of these chests. I'm going to just I still get them anyway.
Hmm.
It's just like such a habit to just like go find them, go grab them, that I've even when I think to myself, I'm going to skip them, I still do them.
I will normally skip the Atma weapon.
I have exactly 0 times in my life fought that Atma. I'm talking vanilla, I'm talking Worlds Collide, I'm talking at all. 0 times have I fought the boss in that spot.
All right. So, like I was saying earlier, Warp is awesome, but Rumble is finding out right now that this is one of those rooms where you just need to exit the room and then you can cast Warp. So always keep that in mind. If you think that Warp's not going to work in a location, it might just because it was an event room and you have to leave the room to go cast it.
Absolutely. Entity and Flurry are actually sort of coming together here in the Cave of the Veld. Just a fun little synchronicity as they both have Shadow. Jack is going to give us our view of the first boss in Kefka's Tower. I'm not sure there's too much here that can really give him too much trouble. And Rizopath certainly isn't going to give him trouble. It's just going to take him time.
Absolutely. I believe this is a timed fight, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, it will be. It's a little over 60 seconds, I believe, before the Rizopath will spawn. Flurry just gave us a view, and I suppose Mr. Entity probably just... Oh no, he's fighting a random battle. It's Sabin, and I'm a little surprised that Flurry's actually picking up Sabin here.
Fire chicken!
We have found our third statue. We have found the fire chicken. He is guarding a Sabin. I'm a little surprised that he's taking this fight because he doesn't need the character at this point. Sabin does come with a lot of checks. Several of them are quite quick, so it's not unreasonable for him to do it. But it is going to make all of his battles 2 levels harder than they strictly have to be.
Absolutely. It could be somewhat of a strat, if he's right about to go grind a little bit, make those enemies give him a little bit more experience. I don't think that's going to give you I don't think it's really going to really change or be a huge difference on gaining experience to how hard they really are. But Sabin's a good character. He opens up a lot of checks. If you're down a few Espers like Flurry is, they need 3. They can do some quick, easy checks like the Imperial Camp, the Waterfall boss,
and the Collapsing House.
And the Collapsing House, absolutely. That's a free check, especially with the Moogle Charm. You don't have to buy anything. There's 2 monsters in boxes there, though.
Yep. So Rumble actually is now in go mode. Went and grabbed the Esper from the Narsh, and also picked up the Cursed Shield and found out that it's only 20 battles that he needs to fight to unlock that curse shield and make it a paladin shield. If you know you still need to do some grinding, 20 battles is not that many to get a paladin shield.
Absolutely. And you definitely want to make sure you put some status negating relics on when you have your curse shield. Otherwise, goofy things are going to happen to your party.
Yeah, I mean, I believe the curse shield puts every negative status effect possible on you.
If you don't have a ribbon, at least have a peace ring to throw on your character. You just don't want to have muddle on them.
Absolutely. Particularly if it's one of your more powerful characters, that muddle can give you a bad day.
So like I said, there's only a few bosses you really want to steal from. Some of the later bosses are the ones that you really want to steal from, but Poltergeist is really not. You're gonna get Red Jacket. If you still need some armor, go for it, but it's not really necessary. You just want to just kill the boss. Poltergeist is going to drop an Aura Lance for Flurry, though.
Aura Lance, totally worthwhile. You know, not a bad item. It's certainly not an Illumina or a Ragnarok or a fixed dice, but it does give you pretty good stats.
Yeah, and Illumina can be a double-edged sword, especially on the last Kefka fight, because you could be healing with that pearl damage. So you got to be careful with that too.
Right. And it looks like Jackamus is giving us the first chance to ask the question of, is this even randomized? Guardian at Guardian spot.
Now, I will say, Guardian is who you want to steal from. He is the one boss that I'm looking at for every seed if I block. Ribbon and Force Armor you can steal from Guardian.
I'll certainly take both of those. So Jack jumped right into Kefka's tower, but Rumble is taking a little bit of time, learning some spells, making sure that his Terra has, Cure 3, and trying to get that curse shield uncursed before he heads up. I think that's respectable. I think Jack is in a little bit more of a precarious position when it comes to the final boss, because I don't think he's done quite as much grinding his levels.
Guardian just turned into Ultros 0.5. The Ultros battle sequence has been activated, so keep in mind these are mechanical tentacles coming at Jackamus as we speak.
That's a terrifying image. Thank you so much for giving that one to me. Not sure I'll get to sleep tonight now. Appreciate that.
No problem.
Entity has gotten through the fire chicken. Looks like pretty easily. His whole party's still standing, ready to go. And Flurry is down the rabbit hole of just getting character after character after character. He's finding Gao here at the collapsing house. This sometimes happens. All he needs is 3 espers, but he can't find them. I've certainly had those seeds, haven't you?
Absolutely. That's why some of the checks where you have like 3 checks, 2 to 3 checks, they're really good to do. You're almost guaranteed at least an esper. I haven't seen very many 3 check events where you get like item. But it's not that couldn't happen though.
Yeah, I think mathematically, I really like the checks where you're doing multiple things at once. So Floating Continent and Magitech Factory and Cyan's Dream, just because if I'm going someplace to get it done, I might as well just keep going all the way through. So we see a little bit of a difference here between Entity and Flurry. Entity is choosing to reset out of that collapsing house. And it looks like he reset out of the Sabin check as well. Or maybe he had just saved right outside of the cave. But Entity opting not to pick up the extra character and power up his enemies, while Flurry is trying to go for those other checks.
I believe Entity is going for the Ebot's Rock now.
Oh, I mean,
I honestly would have taken the characters that had the quick, easy checks.
yeah, I mean, if he goes and does that, he's going to be real sad when it's going to be Umaro at the end of it.
I do really like the characters that have the grinding spots. You know, Terra's got the Leet River, Strago's got the Burning Building, and even Gao has the Serpent Trench. That Serpent Trench is easy fights. You're gonna level up, you're gonna get a few boxes. It doesn't take too long to do.
Yeah, just compared to what the racers want right now, it's, you know, if I were them, it's certainly longer than I want to do.
Yeah, especially at this time, they're getting closer to where they probably feel like they should be in Kefka's Tower about to finish.
Absolutely. See, I'm not sure how many more battles Rumble needs to do or is going to want to do to finish off that curse shield. I have not been counting, but he's going to keep fighting. So this is going to do two things for him. You know, he is able to out-level his enemies. You know, he can very well be a higher level, which is going to make everything easier, and have a paladin shield, which is going to make everything easier.
Absolutely. It doesn't ever hurt to learn Ultima. You can learn Ultima off that Paladin shield, and it's just going to block nearly everything while absorbing a good amount of elements.
Right. It's just a matter of if it's worth it in this particular race setting.
I think it's just a little too late to have started, you know, cleansing the shield, but we'll see if it pans out for him.
Absolutely. Jack appears to be having a little bit of a struggle with Guardian, who has now gotten to Atma's battle program and has cast Flare on that Terra. Not sure if that Terra is going to survive. No. Emphatically no. That was 3 times the health Terra had. Yeah, Chad, I think this is an F to pay respects moment for Jack and Mrs. Terra there. Now, if you were Entity and you got to this point, you fight the battle and you get Umaro, are you going to reset out or are you going to keep that Umaro?
Well, I mean, he still is 3 Espers down. Whether he wants to decide to, you know, go for the Celis check, for the easy, quick Celis checks, or the, I don't know. That's a really hard call.
I think it really comes down to, did he see Celis and Narsh and know that Umaro opens up that Celis? Because I would think doing Magitech Factory, where you're guaranteed at least 1, probably 2, and possibly all 3 that you need. From my perspective, I would follow that and hope that just gets me what I need.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since if he hasn't done Tritalk yet, that's another Esper that you're going to get on your way to checking Umaro's spot. Looks like Jack is taking some time to do a little bit of grinding here in Kefka's Tower to get through that Guardian. You know, I think Jack took a bit of a risk going into Kefka's Tower sooner than a lot of the other runners. Um, and I think I respect the risk. I think I probably would have done the same thing. But I think he's just getting punished for it a little bit by having to take a couple extra battles.
Yeah, I think he'll be able to round out his party pretty quickly if he can keep them alive during some of these random battles.
That is certainly a big if, but I agree with that assessment. If he can, get down to just one of those evil Oscars and then get the other two characters up, might be able to sort of slingshot them forward and make them actual, contributing members of society, so to speak. Or the evil Oscars can do their evil Oscar thing and just wipe the party. That's also a possibility. Let's see. Entity's giving us a look at the Imperial camp. We have not seen this yet, so hopefully he'll find what he's looking for here and not another character.
Yeah, unfortunately for Mr. Entity right now, he's going for the slightly slower checks right now. Because after this, I believe he's probably going to go to either the Phantom Train and the Waterfall. The Phantom Train takes a little bit of time.
Well, the nice thing about the Phantom Train is that you can save right outside, run into the Phantom Train, check the reward at the end in the caboose, and if it's not an Esper that you need, reset out and leave.
Absolutely.
And our trackers are telling us that we do know where all of the characters are now. I suppose that's true. Just our runners have taken enough varied paths that they have given us peeks of where all of the characters are. That is another thing that I do particularly like about this randomizer is that you can take 2 or 3 wildly different paths and still end up where you need to be.
Absolutely.
I love, I'll reference Free Enterprise a lot because that's the other randomizer that I've played a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But that one often ends up in, you have to find certain items.
Right.
But here, you just have to find a certain number of things from the sum total.
And that's mostly because Final Fantasy VI was a character-driven game, whereas Final Fantasy IV was more just item gating in general.
Yeah, that is just a base difference in how the games were set up. So, Mr. Entity has now found the Air Force in the waterfall. I suppose that's at least mildly realistic. A flying enemy is flying down the waterfall with you.
Rather than a pack of piranhas that can swim up the waterfall and attack you.
I suppose. If we are falling down this waterfall and the piranha battle takes at least a minute, how tall does this waterfall have to be?
Oh, I'm sure there's someone in chat that can figure that out pretty quickly.
So Rumble is doing a little bit of shopping and has found Illuminas in the store. This is the advantage of that shuffle plus 20% random, allowing that Illumina to be there. And I think he's selling just enough to get a second one. And it looks like everyone can equip that Illumina. Looks like Jack is ready to try that Guardian battle again. Hopefully it goes a little bit better for him this time.
There we go. We got an answer from Raffaello saying the falling for 60 seconds of free fall is about 17,651 meters. That's a pretty tall waterfall then.
Yeah, which means you're certainly at terminal velocity and it's probably not survivable, but are we really looking for realism in our video games?
I'm just surprised one of the party members is not yelling at the other saying, "Why didn't you cast float on me?"
Or if this was D&D, we'd be casting, what is it, Featherfall? All right, is Rumble now headed to... He is now in Kefka's Tower. There we go. We are on the second one. Second person in Kefka's Tower, and then Entity and Flurry are not far behind. They just need to find those last Espers. Although if Entity hasn't done Tritalk yet, I think Tritalk will be the last one that he does. Flurry gets Raiden at the bottom of the waterfall. And Jack looks like he is trying to find more random fights here.
They found an easy fight.
Again, if he can keep Setzer and Gogo up, it...
Ooh, they're hitting hard though.
Yeah, but so does Terra. That is a decent amount of XP for the two of them. They're only level 25. They're not going to be the same level as Terra. They're not going to be quite as effective, but they will certainly be able to contribute. And I think that's what they really need at this point. And Entity is now has gone back for the Kefka at Narsh fight, which I can check our document and see if that gives us another Esper.
Now, are breakable rods affected by Terra's morph?
Yes, they are. That is something that makes those breakable rods broken. So yes, the Narsh battle is going to give Entity his final Esper and give him go mode. But to go on the breakable rods tangent just a little bit, so when you break a rod, it casts the level 2 spell, which is 61, 62, or 63 battle power, or magic power. Not only do they ignore Reflect, not only do they use your magic attack, so if you're morphed, your magic attack is doubled, it also ignores magic defense.
That is extremely broken.
Rods are ridiculous. They are absolutely ridiculous in terms of an offensive choice. And Jackamus this time is able to make easy party. Flurry also gets an Esper here. I don't think that was Flurry's last one. I think Flurry has to find one more. And then I think there's a pretty good chance we're going to have all 4 runners in Kefka's Tower at the same time, depending on these last few bosses for Jack. Well, Vargas is certainly not a frightening. So Vargas is another one of those fights, just like Esper Cave Ultros. If you have the correct party member, in this case, if you have Sabin and use Pummel, the fight will end immediately. But you can also just chew through all of his HP, which is, not really all that much. It would certainly be far too much for a party at the time that you normally face Vargas to get to chew through in time, but at this level, we're doing plenty of damage to get through Vargas.
Absolutely.
So it looks like Entity is actually taking the Kefket Narsh battle to not only give him his final Esper, which he's not 100% sure he's going to get an Esper, but we know, but also to grind up his party just a little bit more so that he's going to be able to go through Kefka's Tower pretty quickly.
Ooh, what did Flurry find?
Flurry found Illuminas. Looks like everyone found Illuminas. They were for sale in South Figaro. And not just casually buying one, buying multiples. Because, if a little is good, a lot must be better, right?
Found a Doomgaze. That can be pretty scary.
Ooh, dear.
Oh, look at Flurry and them ice rods. That just happened.
So between Illumina and Ice Rods, Flurry is not going to be wanting for offense at this point. And a few sleeping bags. Flurry is all set. It looks like Flurry is going to be headed up to Kefka's Tower real fast now. If you happen to have an extra Illumina, throwing an Illumina with Shadow will almost certainly do quad 9s of damage at the levels that we're going to be at. I'm not
absolutely.
sure it's the best use of your Illumina, but it's a choice you can make.
It's definitely a good strat to do, especially since, if you do fight the later phases of Kefka where the pearl damage is going to heal him, throwing him might be the better option.
That is true. And it looks like Entity is in go mode as well. So I think my wish is going to be granted. We're going to have all 4 runners in Kefka's Tower at the same time. And Entity's at over level 40. He is going to be ahead of his enemies in terms of level. So I think Entity is going to make short work of anything he finds.
Oh, absolutely. And he's going to keep those Moogle Charms on. He's going to go straight for those bosses. Jackmas did have to reset. Doomgaze happened to cast Doom and Death on him.
And I think he needs to gain 1 level on his Cyan so that he doesn't get hit by level 5 Doom. That is something that Entity is going to have to deal with, because last I saw, all of his characters were at level 40. So he might get got by that too.
It's a good thing that he did the Cyan stream. Cleave makes quick work of most trivial mobs.
Yeah, now his party's at 28 and 23, so they shouldn't get gotten by level 5 Doom. Hopefully he'll be able to make his way through this Doomgaze. I will say one of my favorite quality of life improvements that Atma has put in here is the faster sword tech gauge, because I gotta tell you, the slowness of that gauge filling up in vanilla is so not worth it.
Yeah, there's been a few nice quality of life fixes like that. There's also the ability to enable runic being used by any weapon for Celis, and any weapon usable by Sword Tech. There are options on there, so you could see Cyan using Quadra Slice with a spear if you'd like.
Yep, absolutely. And Rumble is now catching up to Jack by all of his grinding is coming to fruition, although his Celis did go down immediately. And my stream froze there for a second. I think I'm still good though. Looks like this seed is a little challenging for some of the other runners. We did have a couple of runners forfeit out. That is totally acceptable. I understand this was not the kindest of seeds. There were certainly some bosses that were rude, let's say.
Absolutely. And if you're a new player just checking in for the first time, boss shuffle is fun, but you might want to familiarize yourself with the game without the bosses randomized for your first seed.
Absolutely. And the website does have several choices for presets for both character gating mode and open mode, and I would recommend honestly doing an easy preset first, just to get an understanding of how this particular randomizer works. I've played a couple different ones. They all have their own quirks and their own ways that things end up getting done. And then once you get comfortable with it, if you want to start trying the racing flags and start joining our community races, everyone is welcome. We hold them every Saturday.
It's not just these 4 players that are entered in the race. There are several other players that are also racing with these guys. So very, very fun and awesome way that we do things here.
And please, for anyone who is watching, who has not checked this out before, please join our Discord. Join our website as well, where you can roll up some seeds. In our Discord, we have a pretty decent set of resources and guides. And I'm not just saying that because I wrote the newbie guide. I'm not just saying. Because honestly, my guide just pulls together a lot of resources that other players have put together, better than I could have done on my own.
There's a lot of collaboration within the community. It's really nice.
Between that and then just come on in, roll up a seed, and ask questions. Vamp, I think you ended up sitting in Dark Falls' seed the other night, just sort of coaching him through his second or third seed.
Absolutely. I have no problem doing that for anyone. If you're looking for a little bit of help, there's plenty of us that will give you some direction. And if we absolutely have time, we'll sit down with you and see how we can help you get through the seed you're struggling with.
Absolutely. So Rumble has now made it through the Doom Gaze and has taken the lead away from Jack. And Flurry is coming right up on Jack's heels as well. And the last statue is only Kefka. That feels weird to say that it's only Kefka in Kefka's tower. Something seems off about this. But yeah, Rumble makes short work of that, and I don't foresee Rumble having too much trouble with the Fina Kefka battle. But various places in that final battle can just decide to get you if Kefka wants to.
Um, so I don't know about you, Revlin, but lately I've been trying to, I've been doing a lot of 100% seeds. I go over the top, but lately I've been trying to only bring 2 party members per party for Kefka's Tower lately. And I think I'm gonna try to stick to that to, more um, get into the racing habits. Racing, there's a lot of habits that most people need to break, but before they can really truly race at some of these players level. Um, like not checking chests if you don't need to, doing any unnecessary fights. Um, you have to know when to make those calls.
Absolutely. And the only reason I bring extra characters besides the ones that I have, specifically leveled up into Kefka's Tower is because, some of these bosses, say a Doom Gaze that opens with a level 5 Doom and I'm level 40, if I have a chance to toss a Phoenix down with that, level 3 Setzer or something, that's a worthwhile gamble for me to make and
Hmm.
to bring that extra character just for a little bit of safety or, throw that elixir out and just help the character who's doing the work. But yeah, we now have all 4 runners in Kefka's Tower at the same time at just over 2 hours. For this seed, I think that is a pretty tight clustering of our runners. Also considering that they are running different parties and they ran different routes, and they made completely different choices on how to get to this point.
And also, if you are starting out your seed, for the first time tonight, or even tomorrow, check out the Emo Tracker. If you're familiar with the program, Emo Tracker has a very nice tracker made by Eat It Up 86. I know Eat It Up has made plenty of nice things for different games, and it has a gated tracker and an open tracker. So you can kind of really help yourself figure out where your progression lies if you're going to try a gated seed for the first time. Also, the repositories that Ravlin and the others have put together are very, very nice guides as well.
One of the upsides of being in quarantine was that I was able to put together a 20 some odd page guide in the free time because all of my time was free for a while.
But yeah, if you're just getting into the using the trackers, some trackers have enable fast tooltips. It's going to help you familiarize yourself with the tracker itself, and you can see the overlay descriptions with the tooltips if you enable fast tooltips on that program. And that pretty much works for almost every tracker you use if you're using Emo Tracker.
And there are other trackers in the resources tab if you prefer a different layout or a different style. They are all great tools, and I have to say that I have to use a tracker every time I do one of these seeds because otherwise I'm going to forget what I have already done.
Yep. And there's all sorts of guides. You have guides for how to progress. You have guides for where the chests are in the game. Really cool stuff that everyone has collaborated. So very, very easy to catch up if you do a little bit of reading.
Absolutely, and it looks like Jack is about to join Rumble in the final Kefka fight at the same time. I have to admit, I'm actually a little surprised that Rumble has not gotten past this phase 1 yet.
Maybe they're just taking it, just being very cautious because of their character loadout. They don't want to lose any characters going up. I don't think they level up too many. And depending on how you kill this first phase, you could have a nasty counterattack, or right before they
send you up.
Yeah, I mean, that is very true. Uh, I'm just wondering if that caution might give Jack a bit of a time to catch up.
It very well could. So back to my stealing items bit. There's a funny thing about the 4 phases of Kefka. If you get to the 3rd phase and you're really thinking that you might need a little bit more damage, and this is a huge long shot because usually people are ready to kill Kefka when they go to face him, you can steal a Ragnarok from the girl in the 3rd phase. And then you could probably equip it within the item menu. And that's just a thought if someone wants to try that moving forward. But you can get Ragnarok from them.
Or if you bring Shadow with you to the final battle,
Oh
you
yeah,
can just steal
chuck
it
it.
and throw it back at her.
I believe there's in the phase that Rumble's on, there you can get the Atma weapon from the guy on the left, I believe.
That sounds correct to me. Atma weapon is actually a fascinating weapon in this game whose it's a 255 power weapon, which is the highest in the game. And it's only 255 battle power if you're at 100% HP.
Right.
However, there is also, it messes with the damage formula by adding a your level over 64 multiplier. So I forget if it's 60 or 64. Doesn't matter for my point here. But if you are below that level, it's gonna, reduce your damage. If you're at or above that level, it's going to increase your damage. So you are an Atma weapon. If you put in the time and the effort to grind up the levels, an Atma weapon is your most powerful weapon in the game.
Now I know it seems like Rumble's trying to figure out which spell to cast on this phase. If I had I saw Meteor is in his list. I love Meteor. Meteor all day. It's non-elemental. It's gonna do some damage to everything and not hit your party. It's Murton you gotta watch out for. You don't want to cast that on your party.
Meteor is great in theory. It's only 36 power. It is weaker than a Fire 2. So it's one of those. I have completed seeds with Meteor as my main offensive magic because there was nothing else. But it is sort of at the bottom of the tier list of what I consider acceptable choices for offensive magic. And Drew is correct in chat. It does ignore defense, so it will usually do more damage than a Fire 2.
Yeah, Meteor is especially good for bosses like Magic Master, where you don't need to scan anything. You just keep casting it and kill them pretty quickly.
Correct. So Rumble is now making it up to that 3rd tier, but Jack is hot on his heels, and Flurry is now going to be in the Kefka battle as well. I think this is the first time in our community races where not only have we had all 4 racers in Kefka's Tower at the same time, we have 3 of the 4 racers actually on the Kefka fight on a tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3.
And you know what? And we know that since Rumble's not Rumble, but Mr. Entity's been leveling up so much, he's gonna catch up real quick too. So he's definitely going to make quick work of these last few bosses and make it to Kefka solid.
Absolutely. Rumble's setting up that Fenrir to deal with a calmness coming from sleep once sleep dies. Fenrir and Golem are the 2 best espers defensively for dealing with it. Technically, Phantom will also let you avoid calmness. However, it means that Meteor will guaranteed hit you, and that's no bueno.
No, it's not.
Guess who learned that the hard way? It was me. It was me.
I got that. So what happened to Rumble's party was not very good. He's got to remedy his whole party right now, or at least the spellcasters.
I was gonna say, is he relying entirely on spell casting, or does he have a couple of physical attackers as well?
He could be physical attacking. I just think he's relying on, but he passed that phase, bringing all characters up.
All three of our runners in Kefka's fight are transitioning at the same time. The chances of that.
I just love how they're all. Yeah, that's just so good.
Yeah. Now, as long as Rumble doesn't eat an unfortunate ultimate counter immediately after Goner, at this point, I think it is Rumble's game to lose.
Absolutely. And I believe when the screen is shaking, Kefka cannot counter you. So that's when you want to just be dropping bombs on Kefka and finish the fight right then and there.
Correct. I have had a couple of times where I've queued up too many things during that shaking phase, and then had Goner happen, and then had to pray that I didn't get an immediate Ultima counter, because once he is below 10,000 HP, he has a 1/3 chance to counter with Ultima when he's not shaken.
It's either Ultima, physical attack, or Meteor, I believe.
Is it Meteor or is it Havoc Wing? I don't actually know Kefka's script well enough off the top of my head. But look at that damage from Rumble. Good gracious. That Terra just did quad
Could be
nines
hyperdrive.
twice. Hyperdrive, that's what I was thinking. And I wouldn't be surprised if that Goner didn't do all that much damage. Yeah, you see that Terra being morphed also doubles her magic defense, so she took so little damage from that Goner. And that is a done from Rumble Maze, coming in first place at 2 hours and 17 minutes. I'll see if he wants to join us for a chat.
Absolutely. I'm actually pretty surprised that no one bought any Super Balls from the airship.
I forgot that they existed.
All right.
Super Balls are one of those things that never seem to work out very well for me. But joining us now, we have Rumble. GG on first place.
Thanks. I did not really expect to get first place. I felt like I actually wasted a lot of time over preparing for KT, but apparently paid off.
Well, I've got to tell you, I don't know if you've had a chance to pull up the stream. You were on Kefka. Jack just finished phase 3, and Flurry is on phase 2, and Entity is in Kefka's tower.
Wow, close race. I'm gonna have to watch that one back.
And the really fascinating thing from at least my perspective is that everyone took different routes.
It was
different ways
definitely
to get there.
it was definitely a different seed for everybody.
Yeah, I struggled early. I was trying to do more checks without leveling up, and I just kept getting roadblocked. So finally, I just said, "Forget it. I'm gonna level up. I'm gonna get some levels and then go clear things out."
Absolutely. What made you choose to actually spend the time to on uncursing that cursed shield?
I wanted to get some more levels on Realm and Celeste anyway, and so 20 was like right around the mark where I'm like, well, if I want to get some levels on them anyway, having a Paladin shield, I even thought about getting Ultima, but then you might have saw me like start to run to the dragon, and I'm like, forget it. I'm level 40. I'm more than enough with a Paladin shield. I wasn't too worried. Like I said, that's the part where I thought maybe I was over preparing, but I did want some more levels on Realm and Celeste because they were a little bit behind, and I didn't want it to be close on the line. I wanted it to make sure I was once I got there, I was going to be able to finish it.
Absolutely. I will say that your grinding did pay off. Jack got walled a little bit by Doomgaze and had to do some grinding in Kefka's Tower. So your preparedness paid off.
Yeah, Doomgaze was rough. I actually was surprised at how long that took for me, given how over-leveled I was. But I don't know Doomgaze that well. I mean, I never fought him that often before the shuffled bosses, and so especially not at high level, right? So I wasn't sure even what to use on him, and I didn't feel like looking it up. So I was like, we'll just go with Pearl, and that seems to be working, and we'll just go that way.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Do you have any final thoughts for us before we head out and get another runner in here very soon?
Thanks for commentary. Thanks for the restream, and GG to everybody. Looking forward to watching it back to see what routes other people took.
GG
Absolutely.
Rumble.
GG. Well played. And so now we have Jackamus. He is almost done his Kefka. His Kefka is shaking. And those jumps from Edgar were doing a ton of damage. I was actually really surprised. And Flurry is now transitioning into Kefka himself, and Mr. Entity is not far behind either.
Nope.
Hey, nice time with that jump. That Edgar's not going to get hit by the Goner. I actually wonder how Terra and Cyan are gonna do here. Oh, they're fine. Never mind. What was I worried about? Silly me.
Oh, and that's it.
That is a crack boom from Jackamus as well. Let's see if he is interested in joining us as well. Yep, he will join us in just a moment. This is also actually an interesting look at how long the actual final Kefka fight takes. Because Jack was only one phase behind and was actually 4 minutes behind Rumble. That's actually fairly interesting. I didn't realize how long Kefka himself actually takes. All right, and we are joined by Jackamus, our second place finner. GG, Jack. Well run.
GG Jack.
Jack, can you hear us?
I can hear you. I just did a thing that I didn't do the right way, and I didn't do it the right way. But now I'm doing it the right way, so now I can talk and hear you guys. It's good.
Awesome. Well, GG, well played.
Really well played anyway. I died entirely too many times at the start, and also on a couple of surprise bosses midway through Kefka's Tower. I'm pretty sure that's what cost me first, but hats off to Rumble Maze there, getting her done, winning her up there. Congratulations to that human.
Absolutely. So one of the interesting things was as he was transitioning to phase 2, you got into phase 1. As you transitioned into phase 2, Flurry was right behind you on phase 1. So we had 3 runners in the Kefka fight at the same time. It was a very, very close race.
Oh, that's awesome. How is good old Theoren Flurry doing right now? Must be on the final form, I see, eh?
Flurry is on phase 3, and it looks like Mr. Entity is about to enter phase 1 now. So all 4 of our runners were in Kefka's Tower at the same time. All 4 of our runners took wildly different routes and did different checks. And they all ended up fairly tightly clustered.
Hey, that's pretty great. That means that it was a close-ish race, I guess. that's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Now I have to ask. You've now done several of these races. Most of the seeds have been rolled by me. The seed was rolled by Scott. I do have to ask, who do you want to roll next week's?
Well, next week, me and Rumble are doing the commentary, so I'm not particularly invested in that now, am I?
Okay, fair point. You're gonna give
that said, well, honestly, between last week's weekly and tonight's weekly, they were both quote unquote low offense seeds, but if you know what to do, you can work your way around that. My final battle wasn't the fastest you're ever going to see by any means. It was never a super concern there. I mean, I had Terra with an Aegis shield and a Minerva, so it's not like she was going to go down anytime soon. But the big problem I had is that in this seed, it was really difficult for me to get my feet on the ground. I was just getting killed left, right, and center for the first 25 minutes or so. I couldn't get anything done, and after that, things were going great, but then the bosses, the boss checks in Kefka's Tower happened to be ones that were just a little too tricky for the way I had my party just set up the whole way through, so I had to, in one case, grind some levels for Fire 3, and in the other case, re-equip my guys, and in the first case of that, I accidentally re-equipped my guys the wrong way, so I had to do that fight again. So that was great.
It's just one of those moments where a mistake compounds itself. I've been there.
Well, yeah, it's a race. You're trying to go fast and everything, but giving Edgar the Force Shield instead of Cyan for the Doomgaze battle the second time was a huge. What are you doing, man? That's not right. Cyan's the one taking the damage. Give him the Force Shield, you know?
Absolutely. All right. So, any last thoughts before we let you head on your way for the night?
Yeah. This randomizer is fantastic. It's great that we're able to do this once a week on Randomania. I am very much looking forward to the day when we get some more saps. I mean, humans to play along with us, and maybe the first ever FF6 World Collides tournament is not too far around the corner. That'd be pretty great.
Once we find someone to organize it, absolutely, I'm in.
Perfecto. And for my final thoughts before I leave you guys, you can say it in unison with me if you want. Let's go, Bruins!
Thank you.
Thank you, Jackmas and GG.
All right, and Flurry is just pumping out the damage with all of those ice rods that he bought. This Kefka is not long for the world. Let's see, we're just waiting for that crack boom. And that is another Kefka dead. Flurry finishing with an official time of 2 hours, 27 minutes, 39 seconds in third place. GG, Flurry. Well played.
Thanks. That actually went a little better than I thought. Yeah, it's good to see it was close, too.
Yeah, absolutely. As you know, I've been telling every runner as we bring them in, we had all 4 runners in Kefka's Tower at the same time. While Rumble was headed to Phase 3, Jack was on Phase 2, and you were on Phase 1 of Kefka.
Yeah, I do regret I got a little lazy with 3 Luminas and forgot to set up my Espers for Phase 3, so that slowed me down a little bit because What's-Her-Face got Calmness, and I didn't get to mute magic, so I probably lost about a minute or so there. But otherwise, yeah, not too bad. Right around my average time for these runs, so still got to get a little better, but it's fun.
What did you think of the start of this seed?
Start was a little bit of a slog, but it's also kind of like the part where I need to improve the most because I don't have a really good feeling for when to be aggressive about getting, those first 15 or so levels, and when to get your freebies and, get your treasure and power up as fast as you can. I don't feel like I did a great job of that. And it did funnel you a little bit. And once you got to... Alright, it didn't really open up that much. Like, at least I didn't really get to a point where I had like a ton of checks at any one point. I think I still only finished with having the rest of the Sabin checks and the rest of the Gao checks left, and that was it. So yeah, as far as the beginning, like, the treasures were okay, not great, and no real offensive spells to grind until I found Ice 2 on like Esper number 3, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was a little bit of a bummer. There are other characters that could probably have handled that a little better, but still, yeah, it was a little slow.
Yeah, I think at the beginning of the seed, and Vamp, you can correct me if my memory is wrong here, but I think every single runner noped out of both Kefka at Narsh and the Tentacles fight at least once.
I believe they did. That proved to be a little too difficult at first without the initial grind.
So
yeah, that was one of those where I thought I didn't know how the water weaknesses managed up, so I thought maybe Clean Sweep could like at least get most of them down. And when it only damaged one of them and healed the other 3, I was like, oh, we're in trouble. I burned all the rods, and it still had one left. I'm like, you know what? This probably isn't even worth it anyway. Let's just reset out.
Funny enough, the two of us commentating were like, I wonder if that Clean Sweep's going to damage, one of them or 3 of them. And then we're like, oh, crap. No one's going to be happy about this.
Yeah, I figured that if it was going to be able to be done, that was going to be the answer, and it wasn't. So like, all right, at least it wasn't a character. The one that kind of worried me was Fire Chicken guarding Sabin at the end there, because that was like 5 checks, and I think the only other thing I had left was Kefka at Narsh and the Tritalk spot that would have had characters. So I was like, don't mess this up. And
Right.
Stop managed, so yeah.
Well, you guys definitely certainly had, between the 4 of you, had different character loadouts. It was definitely interesting to watch, because all of you did way different things.
Yeah, I there would be sense to grinding. I thought about grinding to when I did the guards fight after getting a cat hood, and I was like, all right, 13k, I can get a gem box easy. I just got the economizer, great. I can see the sense in grinding to at least 1 Illumina there and going that route. Would have liked to have found an offering, but alas, I didn't find one.
I don't think any of our runners actually did.
Yeah, that's why I took the trap chest check in Daryl's tomb, hoping it was a Katana Soul and maybe I'd get lucky.
Let's see. Any last thoughts for the adoring fans before we let you head on with your night?
No, man, I appreciate you guys taking the time and the progress that this randomizer has made. It gets better every week, and it's fun putting the time in and just trying to get a little bit better to kind of get at the same levels. It's been fun. I appreciate it, guys.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, GG Flurry.
Alrighty. We are now just gonna watch Mr. Entity close this fight out. Looks like he's been having a little bit of struggle with Terra's Lumina keeps proccing Pearl and healing the girl. I think that happened at least 3 times.
That's what I was talking about. Sometimes that Lumina is going to be a crutch.
Yep, but he just got through, blocked the calmness with Shadow, he's in a good spot and is going to finish this out pretty strong. So as Entity heads into the final Kefka fight, I do want to once again shout out the rest of the stream team. I want to again thank Vamp for putting up with me and gabbing along with me for the last 2.5 hours. Thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's a good time.
Also want to thank Raphalos for being our restreamer du jour. I think he's restreamed most of our community races, and we definitely appreciate him doing that work. And then we've got our 2 trackers, Dark Falls and Scott. Thank goodness for them. They are keeping track of all 4 runners, keeping track of who's gotten what. And we've actually even started using a spreadsheet so that we can, go back and look and see who has done what and what is at what check, because all of our runners, as you've seen tonight, are taking different routes. And, if someone goes and checks Kefka at Narsh an hour and a half later after the first person, I don't remember what's there. Do you?
I do not.
So thank goodness for our 2 trackers. And finally, one last person that absolutely must be shouted out right now is Atmatech, our wonderful developer. Atma released 0.01 or version 0.1 of this back in January. We are now in version 0.5 or 0.6. He's been pushing out 0.67, pushing out updates very regularly. Very open to feedback, listening to suggestions, and just being really phenomenally productive. Let's see, have I forgotten anyone who I need to shout out at this point?
Just everyone in the community is awesome. We all work together. We talk about strats every day. Come join the Discord if you haven't already. There's lots of stuff we talk about. Whether it is the future things that are going to happen in the randomizer, or just other ideas we bounce off each other is really nice. And everyone has a pretty good attitude.
All right. And looks like Mr. Entity is finished. I will get him in and see what he has to say for us. But GG, he finished with an official time of 2 hours, 36 minutes, 51 seconds. GG to all of our runners, finishing 1st through 4th on stream. And here comes Mr. Entity. GG, well done, sir.
GG, Entity.
Sorry, I forgot what my push to talk was there. Yeah, I finished it. It wasn't incredibly easy. If I hadn't found those Illuminas and Aegis Shields at the start, I probably would have been at this for another hour or something.
Yeah, and I think that actually shows off one of the really nice things about the shuffled plus 20% random shops and chests. You have the opportunity to find things like Illuminas and Aegis Shields.
Yeah, it's handy, especially when you're dealing with just the basic items in chests. I mean, there is the shuffle in there, but if you're doing like random chests, you tend to get a lot more crazy stuff. So if you get screwed on Espers like I did this time, it's nice to find random glorious things in the shop.
Absolutely. So one of the things that was really cool about this race, and I hope you get a chance to go back and check it out, all 4 of our racers were in Kefka's Tower at the same time.
Really? So I wasn't as far behind as I thought.
Absolutely
No, not at all.
not.
Yeah, I haven't hacked that time. I guess I can't really check the times till the race is done, but I hadn't looked into it.
Yeah.
You're about like maybe 19 minutes behind first place. But the other 3 runners, they were fighting Kefka at the same time, which was really, really crazy.
Yeah, that would have been neat to see. I didn't think I was doing great, but the seed was rather difficult, so I can see how we all got there. But
Yeah, through wildly different paths too, which I always find interesting to watch. And I think it's one of the coolest things about this randomizer that you can take wildly different paths and still get to Kefka's Tower.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of options. You probably noticed at the end there, I was straight up refusing characters that I'm sure other people got it.
Some
And-
people got those characters and some people didn't. It was really nice to watch.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there was a fair bit of choice after a while there. It was a bit hemmed in at the start by some rough bosses on my end, but probably other paths were a bit easier.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I think everyone noped out of both Tentacles and the Kefket Narsh Ultros fight.
Yeah, those tentacles are rough because when they grab you, they just do a bunch of damage. It's not like scaled seemingly, or it's just a crazy high amount of damage in the first.
I think it's a fixed amount of damage, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I'd have to go look at some of my resources and figure that out.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's fixed. It's one of the bosses in these races that you don't want to find first because they just kill you, and there's nothing you can do about it unless you can nuke the hell.
Absolutely. All right. Well, this is bringing us to the end of our showcase. Any last thoughts, Mr. Entity, before we head out of here?
Nothing in particular. It was fun seed, bit rough, but you get through.
All right. Well, once again, I want to thank everyone on the Restream team for helping us out. I want to thank all 4 runners for putting on a fantastic show for us. And I want to thank all of the viewers who came and dropped by. And we hope to see you in the Discord very soon and maybe in next week's race.
That sounds really good. I think we're about to head on out, aren't we, Revlin?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, it was a very awesome game. Thank you for everyone watching. And this is Vamp.
And I'm Ravlin, and thank you so much for joining us this evening.